Hello, I'm Deborah Goggin with the Department of Research Support at A.T. Still University. In this presentation, I will explain how to correctly paraphrase content from a previously published source. So what does it mean to paraphrase a source when you want to refer to information from that source in a journal article or other scholarly work? To paraphrase text from another source, like a published journal, article, or book, you will need to explain the information from that source using your own words and your own writing style. By paraphrasing the content of the original source in your own words, you show readers that you understand the content of the other source. Paraphrasing is also how an author recognizes the contributions of other authors without plagiarizing or using their work without the proper attribution. Another thing to know about paraphrasing is that paraphrasing text from another source is not the same thing as directly quoting or copying from that source. With paraphrase, you are telling your readers about the source using your own words. With paraphrase, it is also very important to always cite the original source for all paraphrased text. By providing a reference citation, you are letting your readers know that the ideas you are explaining were first explained or reported by others. So what are some steps that you can follow to paraphrase information from another source? First, read the information from the source text as many times as necessary until you thoroughly understand what the authors are saying. Next, set the original source aside and think about how to write the information using your own words. Imagine you are meeting a colleague in the hallway and want to tell them about the study you just read. What would you tell them? Write that down and revise as needed. After you have a draft of the paraphrased content, the next step is to compare your writing with the original source. Check to see whether your paraphrased text is distinctive from the original. Check that you are adequately summarizing the information from the original without exactly or almost exactly copying the source. Remember to add a reference citation for the original source at the end of each sentence of your paraphrased content. Every sentence in your article that refers to content from another source should have a reference. Even if several successive sentences are referring to the same source, each sentence has to have a reference citation to that source. So how do you know if your paraphrased text is distinctive enough from the original source? First, check for sentences or large groups of words that are still the same as the original source. Is there too much overlap? Any direct copy and paste of content from the original is not paraphrasing. Inadequate paraphrasing or copying of the source will likely be flagged by plagiarism detection software and will negatively affect the acceptance of your article for publication. Second, check that the paraphrased text is not cosmetic only. What does that mean? Cosmetic changes to a source mean that changes were superficial only. For example, have synonyms or other similar words been used in place of the original wording? Substituting a word for a similar word is not paraphrasing. What other things indicate that the source has been inadequately paraphrased? Have some words been swapped or others deleted, but the same basic sentence structure and wording as the original is still present? Have only very slight modifications been made? For example, was the verb tense changed from past to present tense, or from active voice to passive voice? These types of changes to the source are superficial and are examples of inadequate paraphrasing. This type of content does not show understanding of the source content. When you correctly paraphrase a source, You are using your own words to explain the information. Since you are a different person than the original author, you will likely use different wording and sentence structure to explain the information. A final comment about correct paraphrasing involves the use of AI tools and large language models. Most journals still discourage the use of these tools when writing a journal article. Therefore, for your article to have the best possible chance at acceptance, it would be better if AI tools were not used to help with paraphrasing of original sources. So let's look at some examples of paraphrasing. For these examples, our original source is an article from the Royal Society Open Science Journal. The first bit of text we will be paraphrasing is part of the methods section from the source article and describes how the authors evaluated the behavior of dogs, such as NL for nose licking, when they viewed videos of other dogs performing the same behaviors. To provide some background before we begin, the dog FACS is a tool for identifying and coding the facial movements of dogs. Each AU designation in this system refers to a specific facial movement. Please pause the video here so you can read the source text. So let's consider an initial paraphrase of the original text. To evaluate blinking, dogs were shown 3 videos. One showed conspecifics blinking, one showed them licking noses, and one showed them looking attentive still at the camera. The study findings were that the blink video made subject dogs show blink display more frequently compared to the NL video and attentive still video, but the statistical significance was only for the blink and NL. And now let's compare it with the original. The highlighted text indicates cosmetic changes to the original text. Some words and verb tenses have been changed slightly from the original, so it doesn't look exactly the same. But the basic sentence structure of both sentences is still the same as the original. Further, only one of the sentences included a citation to the original source. Both sentences require a citation. Therefore, this paraphrased text is not distinctive enough from the original and would likely be flagged by plagiarism detection software. Let's consider another paraphrase of the original text. A study by Kanori et al. Used the dog FACS software to investigate the response of dogs when shown 3 videos of other dogs performing 3 actions: blinking, nose licking, and attentively looking at the camera. The video of other dogs blinking made the dogs blink more frequently, particularly when compared with the nose licking video. In this example, the information from the original source has been explained using the writer's own wording. However, the explanation still follows the same basic sentence patterns as the original. That makes this example better than the previous one, but it could still use some work. Note, in this example, the writer did include a reference citation to the original source for both sentences. And now let's consider a final paraphrase for this example. Research suggests that dogs are more likely to display blink behavior than other expressions, e.g., attentiveness or nose licking, when exposed to those behaviors in videos of other dogs. In this example, the source text has been explained using the writer's own wording and preferred sentence structure. Let's try another example of paraphrasing from the same article. This section of text is from the discussion section of the article and describes the study results and how they compare to previous studies. The 21 and 22 citations in square brackets are references cited by the article authors. Please pause the video here so you can read the source text. So let's consider an initial paraphrase of this second example. When dogs blink reciprocally, it may help them create social bonds, deal with frustration, or indicate non-aggressiveness, which has been previously shown between dogs and humans. Other studies have shown that dogs perform this behavior more frequently in both social and non-social situations when frustrated. When we compare the paraphrased text with the original text, as indicated by the highlighting, we can see that the changes from the source are superficial. The wording and basic structure of the two original sentences remains mostly the same. In some places, synonyms have been used to slightly change the wording from the original. However, this version did include citation of the original source and the sources cited by the article's authors. Ideally, the writer checked the two sources cited by the study authors and verified that the information was relevant to their study before citing those references. Let's consider an updated version of the initial paraphrase. As during interactions with humans, dogs may blink in reaction to other dogs blinking because this reciprocal action creates social bonds and communicates non-aggression. Similar to other studies, blinking more frequently in general may be useful for dogs who are frustrated. In this version, the content has been explained using the writer's own wording, but the paraphrased content still follows the same basic sentence structure as the original. Because the text is similar to the original source, it is possible that it would be flagged by plagiarism detection software. And now let's consider a final paraphrase for this second example. As shown in multiple studies, blinking may promote bonds with other dogs or humans. For example, Kanori et al. Suggested this reciprocal action may signal the dog's frustration with a specific situation or indicate it has no aggressive intentions toward another dog or human. In this example, the source text has been completely explained using the writer's own wording. The first sentence describes the main findings of all three studies, which is different from the original. Further, the structure of the sentences and overall wording have also been modified from the original. This concludes this Department of Research Support presentation about how to correctly paraphrase content from a previously published source. We hope this information has been helpful. Are you an ATSU faculty researcher? Do you have a research project that you would like assistance with? The Department of Research Support can help. Our staff can assist with research coordination and project management, statistical analysis, and manuscript editing. You can find out more about our department through the provided URL.